You're tuning in to another exciting edition of Sister Ghana's #1 and longest running relationship talk show. My name is AJ Akwapos. It's a pleasure, as usual, to welcome you to a very exciting episode. This show, ladies and gentlemen, is a show that gives you all the clarity, all the understanding, all the advice you need for whatever situation that you may be going through. Perhaps it's something you are going through. Perhaps it's something a friend is going through. But whatever it is, whatever solutions we profess will help you in whatever point you may be in your lives. If you have a situation either career-wise, sexually, with your partner, with your family, just send it in and send us a message via the email address, sisterislive@gmail.com. That is sisterislive@gmail.com. Of course, you can use the hashtag sister to also get interactive and tell us your thoughts on some of these stories. Now, we'll get into a very exciting one right after this break. Of course, a very big thank you to our proud sponsors, Ghana AIDS Commission's Red Ribbon Campaign, Kel Kids Toothpaste, and as well, Unga, Mama's Helping Hand. When we come back, you meet the sisters. You're tuned in to Sister live on 97.3 Citi FM and as well live on Citi TV. Of course, encouraging you to get interactive. Use the hashtag Sister and send in your thoughts, your messages. If you have an opinion about the stories we share, please, we will love to hear it. A very big thank you again to our proud sponsors, Unga, Mama's Helping Hand, Kel Kids Toothpaste, and Ghana AIDS Commission's Red Ribbon Campaign. A very big thank you as well to First Choice for my hair. It takes a village, guys. It takes a village. Now, allow me to introduce some of the smartest, most intelligent, most eloquent women you will see on this earth. And I'm not even capping. My beautiful sisters. Hello, sisters. How are you? I'll start off with the lady in gold, or say orange, say brown, say
gold. Fine.
Yes,
gold,
yes.
Gold.
The golden girl, Sicho. Hi, Sicho.
Hi, AJ.
How you doing? You look lovely.
Thank you. You do too.
Oh, well, thank you. We're learning from you. We're learning. Matching dress with the heels. Hey, Charlie.
Yes.
At this point,
Even the hair.
Even the hair, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me describe the beautiful one. She is Rosie. She needs to be green with envy, or money green, isn't it?
Yes,
it's money green.
She has my shoes.
She's wearing your shoes and you are wearing the dress.
Yes.
It's okay. Your hairband is what's
yes. I also
so
see a hairband.
You need to switch it up a little. But great nonetheless. How are you doing, Rosie?
I'm fantastic as always. Always a pleasure to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you. And of course, a very lovely Olivia, our resident lady of the show. Hi, Olivia.
Hi.
Looking green and pink with envy, innit?
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
I'm glad.
And so are you, though.
Why
you
thank you. Why
such
thank
beautiful
you.
compliments.
Today
we never compliment
decided to take different shades. Checkered, contrasting,
Every
color blocking, matching, everything. So, but ladies, hope we're great and ready for today's episode.
Yes, ma'am.
I love it. Now let's get into it. And this one is quite interesting. Dear sisters, I'm a 30-year-old woman who's at a very confused stage in her life, and I need advice from you and your sisters badly. A few years ago, my womb was removed due to a medical condition I was faced with. Due to this, it is medically impossible for me to ever conceive a child in life. I've recently met a very handsome, gentle, hardworking, and kind-hearted man who truly loves me and is ready to marry me. AJ, I don't know if I should open up to him now, or perhaps I should wait till after we get married. The thought of me losing him after telling him the truth is killing me, because I honestly don't want history to repeat itself, as I opened up to my ex a few years ago about my condition and he rather left me. I love this gentleman too much to lose him, and I honestly don't know how I will deal with such a heartbreak such as this. Should this relationship come to an end because he cannot deal with my condition? Please, what should I do? Kindly help me. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Through no fault of hers. And usually a lot of people will attribute maybe losing your womb to something you've done in some point in your life. But this one is through no fault of hers. A medical condition causes her to have to remove her uterus just to be able to live. Now, she can't have kids. In this day and age, you will think that there are options available to you, but you need to be with a man who's open to these
Open-minded,
options.
yeah.
And she's afraid that this man may walk away like her ex did. Now, telling him or waiting until after the wedding, what do you think, Stu?
Well, we've all agreed on one thing on this platform, which is telling the truth. And she has the opportunity that this is now going into marriage. This is the perfect time to tell the truth. And pray and hope that this person understands and is willing to look at the other options available for the both of you. And I think given this condition also, she also needs to be open-minded a bit, because we live in a culture where most men will not agree or will not be a lot as open-minded as you would find maybe in other countries or from other continents. So she should also try and be willing to probably look at options like the man maybe having a child somewhere, especially if you've gone into the marriage and maybe years down the line. Because I know now you can even take your egg and fertilize it with the man's sperm in the lab and then actually have someone surrogate your child. So it's still going to be both of you, your biological child. I don't know if without the uterus, I'm not medically informed with that. If without the uterus, the egg still can function.
Produce,
Yes. But I think it does. Okay, that's fantastic. So those are options that they can look at. I know it's quite expensive, but I mean, if you love someone and he loves you like she says, that's something that is possible. With the removal of your uterus, that should not be the end of the world. Yes.
We would say it, but sometimes you will note that marriage is not just the man coming in.
And true.
You are marrying his entire family, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And they come with their own expectations of what a wife should be and what a wife should deliver to the marriage. Now, in on a traditional African society and the family, they expect you to procreate.
I remember very well. I'm sorry.
Please.
I remember very well earlier on after I got separated with my kids that I had gone into a couple of relationships, and then after I was like, it looks like every time I mention my kids, then
They back
these
off.
guys, yeah. Then one of my friends was like, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't tell them you have kids. Like, I'm not that type of a person
Yeah,
who
how
would
do I hide
hide
this
my
thing?
kids. I like them. I love them. I can't hide them. And so sometimes you need to take a hard stance on some of these things. If the person truly loves you, they would stay. If they don't, they will go.
Maybe they do love you.
Yeah.
Maybe they honestly are willing to make it work. But you now have to deal with a family that expects you to naturally get pregnant, have children, and build a family. Now, it's telling him, which will also give him an opportunity to walk away, because obviously he knows his family can't deal with it, or he personally can't deal with it. Or lock him in marriage and then break the news to him, which may be deceitful, but at the end of the day, once you're in it, you'll be forced to figure out a solution. Rosie, what is your stance on this?
You should just tell him.
Yeah.
You should tell him, because you see, there are certain lies that you can afford not to tell, because it would never really have an impact on your relationship or your marriage. So if you lied about making an A in class when in fact you were getting a D or an F, really, I don't see any spouse going back into time to check if their spouse's report card was registering an A or a C. But to lie in a way as to like a lie that would be found out, would be realized, you are shooting yourself in the foot. Like he rightly said, there are various ways of having a child. There's surrogacy. The fact that your uterus or your womb is not there doesn't mean that your ovaries are not producing eggs. It just means that you cannot carry it like a normal, pregnancy. So you probably have to get a surrogate. You probably have to do something else.
Or adoption.
Or something. Now, it may be more expensive or probably more risky if you look at it. But it's better than not telling your man.
Yeah.
Because now he's going to get married to you thinking that everything is okay. Now, we have instances where the women actually thought they were okay.
Yeah.
They thought everything was fine. But, children are actually a gift. So they get into the marriage, children are not coming. It's still no fault of yours, still no fault of theirs. Men are more likely to stick with you because it's not intentional. Now, when a man knows that you know that you couldn't.
And you now
And you
pushed
kept
them.
it away because the marriage meant a lot to you. If I were a man, I'll say, okay, fine, the marriage meant a lot to you. You've been there, you've done it. Now, take your certificate, go through. Then they can easily divorce you. Then they'll add another certificate to your marriage certificate. Divorce certificate, and you go. If I were a man, that's what I would do. So I believe in letting the man know the exact situation, because you see, I'd rather a man truthfully wants you for who you are. Now, when a man wants you for who you are, trust me, irrespective of how the family members want their grandchildren in a particular way, he will stick with you because it's a decision he has made with you.
Yeah.
But in a situation where you have lied to him, you've sort of like coerced him into some form of a marriage based on lies, based on deceit, how then do you expect this man to talk for you? Because you see, your condition is not reversible. It's not like one day a miracle will happen and by some strange circumstance, some womb will be manufactured and then the baby will lie there. It's irreversible. So would you rather a man who is in it with you and will be able to go the long haul with you, and when the family members are doing tobe, he'll be in it with you. Such a man can easily even elope with you.
Yeah.
So that you guys will get pregnant abroad and come back with your pregnancy because you do surrogacy outside. So nobody will know that it was a surrogate that carried, because technically, biologically, the child is still your child. Such a man can be open to such a solution, so the parents will not have to interfere and see certain things. So at the end of the day, look, marriage is not easy. And once you start the marriage on certain lies, trust is out of the window. Once you start a marriage with certain lies, you realize that it's very difficult to work on certain things, because everything you be referred to, everything you lied into your way into this marriage, you knew very well I didn't want you. You knew very well I wouldn't stand for this. So every couple talks about kids. How many kids do you want to have? How many kids do you want to have? Hey, me, my kids, I went to this secondary school. They would also go, or the whole time you require looking at him.
Yeah, it's not possible.
You know, I think that, look, listen, to save yourself the trouble, it's better, always better, to break up with a boyfriend than to break up with a husband.
Okay.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally, psychologically, financially.
And legally.
Look, financially, Charlie, the cost to go through a divorce, it's not worth it. So I think you should tell the man exactly what. And luckily for you, it's not like you've done some abortions, and it's a medical condition.
Yeah.
So you have a good basis for this happening. It could happen to anyone. So I don't see why you are shying away from saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, having this conversation, before I get into Olivia's take on it, I'll throw it a little part. And that's why we have the best mixologist in the game, Bruce of Bruce Services, here with us. Hi, Bruce. How are you doing? Well, I will get your thoughts on that, but I would love to know what you're creating for us today.
Yeah, so today we are having a grape bay breeze.
A what?
Grape bay breeze.
Grape berries.
Hey, depending on where you're coming from, you can't mention it too.
Grape, come on. We love it. We love to see it. We love to see it. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
please.
So please, at this point, we are ready to drink while Olivia speaks.
Okay, please.
Olivia, what are your thoughts on this particular one, hiding it or letting him know?
Definitely, I agree with the sisters. You have to let him know.
Yeah.
You can't mince your words. You can't run away from it. Doing that will only move situations from the frying pan into the fire. And he deserves to know.
Yeah.
Aftermath, thinking about everything, about you lying to him, getting married because of your previous experiences that you've had to go through, not working out because you confessed to your partners ahead of time, and you not wanting to go through heartbreak almost comes across, if you actually go through with it without telling him, almost comes across as though you're selfish.
Yeah.
You haven't considered his feelings. You haven't had serious conversations with him about how many children you both want to have and all of that. So for me, I know that it's very heartbreaking. I know it's not your fault. I know when you sit down to think about it, it's almost like you didn't ask this to be on you, but it's some way, somehow it's happened. And it's legitimate and it's true. So when you start off a relationship and you feel like the person really likes you, don't let it progress, or don't be too vested in it. Find a way. I know it's easier said than done, but find a way to be one leg in, one leg out, so that the same leg that you need to move in will be easier, and the other leg that you need to move out will also make it easier. So, but they need to know as soon as possible. You need to know whether it's a deal breaker. Sweetheart, I love you and you love me, but there's this condition. I'm not saying that when you meet somebody immediately day one, tell them that, oh, this is your situation, but you're studying the person. Don't let it overly progress, because then it makes breaking up tough on you. So the earlier the better. So at least you know that you can count your losses quickly and you can move on. I know it also would not be easy for you to move on, but it's better for you to do it as soon as possible than to be extremely vested and you've invested your emotions, your everything in this person, and then they disappoint you because you love them and you don't expect them to disappoint you. And honestly, a man who really loves you and cares about you as an individual will stand by you, just like
She couldn't wait.
just like Bruce, I said, just like Bruce, just like the sisters were saying, they will stand by you, they will stick by you, they would be with you, they will pray with you through the entire process. So for me, I think my biggest take in what you said, in order to make it less difficult on you and on your heart, is to be quick about it. Let them know that, Masa, I can't give you babies because of this medical condition. Is it a deal breaker? If it is, please, I cannot lead you on anymore. But if it's not, I'm happy to do whatever it takes for us to have a child together. And like the sisters were saying, all these options, you can make them available. And the reason why it's imperative to let them know ahead of time, and also to share the different options, it means that you also need to be well read about your situation. Let them know, okay, if I can't have a baby, my eggs are available. This is the situation in which they are. I've spoken to doctors. These are the options we have. Is it something that you don't mind? Do we need to get somebody to have my eggs? Do you mind doing that? Let them know that these are the options. Once you give people an option and not just tell them the problem, then you leave it to them to be able to sit and think and decide what they want to do. But when you just put it on them, bam, it's like, hey, there's no solution. Hey, I don't know what to do. And then it's almost like you've sentenced yourself immediately. But give them other options and let them see how important they are also to you. And having done that, you will surprise you to know you might actually find someone who would say yes. You might actually find someone who would say, okay, perhaps I don't like these options, but I can pray with you. And I've seen God, honestly, it's not somebody here say, me. I've seen God come through for a lot of people, at least in my church. So I'm not saying go to some Soundclass church or anything, but I've seen women who did not have wombs, who came and prayed, and God blessed them, and they've been dedicated to God. So miracles are not impossible, but you cannot experience these miracles and these beautiful things on the basis of lies. So you start everything off on truth, and you commit everything together. A family that prays together stays together, and then it will surprise you. Once you are in it together, God will bring you all sorts of ways. If maybe you can't have a child, He will surprise you. God will touch his heart. Doing these things, well, you easily get somebody who is ready. Oh, a friend will say, oh, I'm ready. I want to help you. Everything just falls in line because the foundation of your marriage or your relationship is strong enough to handle these things. So don't rule it out. You can live. There have been women who have gone through this. They have happy marriages and they have children to testify about this. So don't give up. Okay. But as soon as possible, call a spade and know what you're up against.
Okay.
AJ, another thing I want to add is you would be amazed at the extent to which men would go for you when they love you.
Yeah.
I think we underestimate men a lot in terms of how far they can go for the woman they love.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen people who they've done all sorts of things and their men have stuck around, or they have all sorts of conditions and their men have stuck around with them. Another thing too is we think society is all about, we think love is all about what society expects of us. So everybody wants to have a woman who can cook, a woman who can have children, a woman who can. But we all know couples who have been together for years, and the man has even resigned to not having children because his wife cannot have one, and he's not the type who has gone outside of his home to have children. Another important fact too is the point where Olivia mentioned that miracles have happened, and miracles happen every day. Every day. So I think she should keep a very open mind about some of these things and not be stuck on what society expects marriage and love to be.
But I want to dovetail into another aspect where sort of the double standards associated with this. A man can have, say, low sperm count, hide it from his wife. She finds out after many years of crying, of being the problem, in her opinion. Or at least realize that he was a problem all along. And yet society would rather tell her to, it's okay, deal with him. As against how forgiving society would, or how mean or how judgmental society would be if it was the woman on the receiving end of that. Now, at this particular point in time, she's faced with this problem. A few men would pick the easy way out of not telling her, getting her into marriage, and then eventually breaking into her. But with this double standards associated with this relationship, it is something that's maybe it's time for her to one up the female race, perhaps. And also take one for the team, isn't it? Rosie?
I would say that, look, you see, eventually it is the woman, even though everybody knows that it takes a man and a woman to make a baby, because you carry it, visually, you are the one having the baby.
Yeah.
So a lot of emphasis is being put on the woman, unfortunately, because that is what you see. It's like a building. The most important part of a building is the foundation. Nobody sees that.
Yeah.
Everybody says, oh, this is a nice building, because they've seen how it's come up, the colors that has been painted with. So human beings naturally are visual people. So because it's the woman who does the actual carrying, it's her who is having the bloated stomach and everything, you realize that a lot of people place a lot of emphasis on the fact that it is a woman who has a child in the home. So obviously, when a woman has so many babies, a lot of people give the woman congratulations. Hey, we'll drink one. Hey, why are they are blessing you. They are doing all that kind of like. And it's the same way when children are not coming, they place it at the footstep of the woman. Because hardly do you go to an outdooring or a place like that and you see people overly congratulating the man. Maybe it's a boys or telling you first, but largely a lot of congratulations is given to the woman. That's why Mother's Day is so important, because everybody goes like, oh, Mother's Day, you're a mother, it's like a big thing. So most of the time, men don't even know they have low sperm count. They don't even know they have it. It is when there's an issue and they are brave enough to go and get tested, that's when they know they don't have. And a few times, even with those conditions like low sperm count, they tell them things like, oh, dieting and things can correct it. So it's not much of a big deal. But for a woman, so even though there are options available, like surrogacy, so far as your body is not going to go through that process for all to see, you feel funny. Meanwhile, a man with a low sperm count can easily go to the hospital, have his sperm cultured to become faster swimmers, inseminated into the woman. Nobody even has to know about it.
Let us know your thoughts as well. Use the hashtag Sister and tell us all about it. What are your thoughts on this story? What should she do? Should she lie? Should she confess? Let us know. Hashtag Sister. When we come back, we'll be talking a lot more right here on the show.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the Go TV and Star Times box. Citi TV, it's your world.
You tune in to Sister live on Citi TV and as well on 19.3 Citi FM. My name is AJ Akwako Sapon. Of course, get interactive with us. Use the hashtag Sister. You can tweet at me at AJ Sapon. And as well, send us your stories. If you're going through something, let us know. Sister is live at gmail.com. Of course, I'm here with my sisters, Sicho, Rosie, and Olivia. And we're about to enter into the next story. Are we ready, ladies?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Dear AJ and her sisters, I came from an impoverished background, and I've had to work multiple jobs to gain access to the university and be able to pay for it. However, when I got to the university finally 5 years ago, I was very strapped for cash as my menial jobs weren't providing enough. And a lot of the men I met who were capable of helping me rather wanted to sleep with me in exchange for helping me. So my roommate convinced me that instead of struggling, I should take up their office and do what we termed as hookup business, where I randomly hook up with men in exchange for large sums of money. Fast forward, I have generated enough to start my own business and even build a house. And I finally met a man I love. We're planning to marry in April, and he finally introduced me to his family. Imagine my horror when I met my fiance's father and I realized I've done hookup with him before. Now, the worst thing is not the fact that I have, is that he's asking for one more night and he'll pay me a huge sum of money and then leave me alone to marry his son because, in his opinion, I was the best he's ever had and has been dreaming of me since then. He says I must rock his world one more time, else he will destroy my world.
Nice.
What should I do?
The devil is alive.
Rock his world or he destroys my world? That's a very interesting statement. Hookup business has now landed her in a hookup from hell. Rosie, you were doing Odeshi.
My head is hurting.
Your head is headaching you, eh?
Yeah.
Very, very necessary. What are your opinions about this story?
To start with, you see, there's no free lunch. I keep saying this. I mean, she said on the right foot, if your jobs could get you to school, they could very well get you through school and even out of school. She was looking for the quick fix. And that's what's landed her where she is. And there are people who have been smarter about it. They did a quick fix with probably one person.
Yeah.
Consistently
one person for a period. It's okay to explain a relationship with one person than a hookup. Because that hookup is a fine word for a prostitute.
Yeah.
Basically.
So far as you are doing it and putting a price tag on the action, I'm not talking about people paying you, but as in you're putting a price tag on the action, huge sums of money. It's just a sweet word for what is. You know what I mean? So that's a price you have to pay. If it wasn't your father-in-law, it would probably be your boss somewhere, or someday you've become big. They've asked you to come and give a motivational talk show, and then you are seeing your hookups, you know. And I don't know. It's something that a lot of ladies need to know. I need to be very careful who you drop your knickers for, how often you drop them, and the reasons why you decide to drop them.
The consequences thereof.
And whatever consequences there are, you should be prepared to deal with them. And the consequence, this is actually the least of consequences. This is a man who's been willing to keep quiet, but there's diseases.
Yeah.
There are soul ties. There are people who will just damage you for life just because you've touched them. Now let's move on to her peculiar story. For a man who truly loves his son, he may understand that whilst you were in school, you were desperate. Because before you did the hookup, You probably gave him a story. So he was willing to hook up with you and give you that sum of money. So he needs to make sure that his son's wife is still not hooking up.
Wow.
Whilst I was in uni,
That's what's happening.
that was a phase. And it's a phase I truly regret. And if I could give anything to take it back, I would. And I think that going through this process with you would make you feel that is the kind of person I am. And that's not the person I'm not. That's not the kind of person I am. I have moved on. I have regretted my actions deeply. And I have paid the price. So this is it. If you want to keep it, that's fine. If not, then I think that I would have to have a conversation with your son.
And your wife.
No, with your son. If you say your wife, you are trying to tell him that if you do me, which I will do you. It's like a day. I'll have a conversation with your son and report myself. Because the kind of love that your son and I share, I believe transcends all of this. And I believe that your son is a good person worth sacrificing all this for. So I'm sorry, I will not be able to do X and Y, Z with you. When you do that, in as much as even if the man had intentions of just, he would have some underlying form of respect for you. If he goes ahead and tells his son, it is because his ego has been bruised.
Yes.
Not because he lacks respect for you. And if his son is somebody who truly loves you and knows that that was a phase in your life and knows you differently, you'll be surprised how much you put that behind him. Of course, there'll be a bit of disturbance, a bit of discourse here and there. But you'll be surprised how much he'll be willing to put that behind him because he now knows your true substance. Sijo says something that we underestimate the love that a man can have for a woman he truly wants. It's different if he's still doing it. But if he found out that you went ahead and slept with his father to cover up the initial hookup,
It's worse.
that one, I don't see him forgiving you for. I don't see any man who has a love that can transcend that.
Yeah.
Because now you know this is my father. And you still did hook up with him because you know what, that's your nature. You can't stop doing it.
Yeah,
You
trying to cover up
understand?
a
So
lie.
for me, this is what I would tell her, that look, Charlie, forget the hookup. It's in your past. Let it stay in your past. Don't fall into this trap. This trap is huge, it's big. And this trap has sharp teeth. It will dig into your very essence. Run away from it. And if you feel like his threat of coming to tell him is very huge, look, either you run and go and tell him about the father or run and go and tell him about that aspect of your life that you did some few things that you regretted. Few. I'm not saying go and give your body count. I'm saying few.
You see this story. She's rocked his world one time. He wants to be rocked again. Or he will bring the entire world crumbling down. What are your thoughts about the story?
The thing is, if he is ready for her to rock his world one last time, and it's even better than the previous one, after she's married,
You ask for
he'll
more.
ask for more.
Exactly.
So, however you want to look at it, like I always say, it's essential for you to build every relationship on trust. You can't run away. Sooner or later, it will come up. Your father-in-law could decide to blackmail you your entire marriage. No peace of mind. You'll always be looking behind you, and then you won't enjoy the beauty and the peace of mind that comes with marriage, because at every point in time you wonder, is your husband actually going to find out from his father? Am I going to get divorced after 2 kids? Is he finally going to say something? Are you going to continue servicing both father and son for the rest of your life? Because he is not going anywhere now more than ever. In terms of proximity, you're even closer.
Yeah.
He can even say, oh, I'm coming home to visit my son and my daughter-in-law. You'll be there, he'll be smooching you in the toilet, smooching you in the kitchen, and then his son is going to come and bump into you. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I just feel like, have a conversation with him. Okay. Call him. I don't know how you used to call him, sugar daddy or baby dad, or not baby dad.
Zazi.
No, but that's a hookup.
Yes, daddy.
But you need to be assertive and you need to be serious and you need to let him know that this is a very important phase in my life. I love your son to bits. This is what I used to do. Like Rosie was saying, this is what I used to do because I needed to sort out a few things in my life. It was a phase in my life, which I don't condone to, but, clearly, I'm saying that I don't condone, but clearly just point it out to him and tell him that you're no longer there. It was in your past. You've decided to move on. Hence you meeting his son and you falling in love with his son. Hence you want to do right by God, want to do right by his son, and even want to do right by him as a father-in-law, because you want to establish that relationship, that cordial, respectful relationship between him and you. Because as far as I'm concerned, he is as equally guilty as you are.
Exactly.
Because you could also go up straight and tell your son that, technically, this guy has been unfaithful to his wife, who happens to be the son's mother.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? We're both guilty, but I don't want you to go down that route, but just know that at least you have a few cards to your chest. Get that clear to him. If still he's like, no, I don't want to hear anything. I have to have my way with you. Either than that, I'm going to tell my son and all of that. At least So you do sharp. You look sharp.
I'm going to do the first.
And be the first to tell your husband to be. So that it will not be the father telling him, but it will be coming from you. Tell him and let him know that this was my past. It's no longer there. I'm no longer that person. I had to do this because of X, Y, and Z. As much as possible, you're telling him the truth, but just know that it's going to be hard on him to take, because Charlie, his father, but let him know that this is what it is and allow him to decide. It's very important to let him decide, because when you let him decide, when he's coming back, he's decided, okay, I forgive you for what you've done. It's not a topic. It's not a thing for us to even talk about. Things happen and I appreciate you telling me, but can we move on? Do you understand? And when he says, oh, I can't believe that you actually did that. How could my father do this to me? At least you back out while you still can. It's painful, it's tough, but at least you have your peace of mind. You know in your heart that you've done right by God, you've done right by him, you've given him the opportunity to know exactly what happened in your life. And then at least at the end of whether it's good, whether it's bad, you still need to know, and you need to know what you're up against. Because however you want to look at it, this father-in-law is permanently going to be in your life. After you have kids, when he dies, you have to be at his funeral. Like, you can't push it away.
I'd like us to explore that point, but I'll come to Sicho to hear her points on this particular story, because I want us to also dovetail at some point to the men, because she highlighted something about how a lot of the men that she would go to for help, who were in the position to help her,
exactly,
wanted something in return. But we'll come to that. Sicho, your initial point about the story.
First of all, let me take it from the man. He's a pervert to start with. He's a shameful, unfaithful man, especially if he's still married at this point. He could be divorced at this point and could be the reason why he's asking for what he's asking for. Otherwise, he's a pervert and a shameful man. Now, moving on to the girl. I don't want to look at this any other way than the fact that if this were me, this is how I'm going to look at it. If this were me, I'm not going to beg this man. Look, if a man wanted to know if he himself is clean now at that point where he's speaking, my sister Rosie mentioned something about the fact that he could be testing you. If he wanted to test you, he could have used any of his other friends to probably call you and try to hook up with you and see if that would work and see if you are still in that kind of lifestyle. But for him to request for this and even add the fact that you were the best, you rocked his world, he's a pervert. Now, with a person like that, this is how I am going to deal with him. I'll say to him, listen, it's either you keep this to yourself and between the two of us that this happened and it's never going to happen again, because this was at a point in my time or at a phase in my life where I was going through this, and unfortunately I got lured into this kind of lifestyle for a brief moment, and then I got out of it. But if you're not going to understand that, I'm going to call a family meeting where your wife is involved, your son is involved. I'm not even going to tell you when. You will be seated in that meeting, and I will tell the truth to everyone, and I will work out whether if your son does not want me anymore, I'm ready to leave it at that. Sometimes you need to let people know what cards you have and how you are willing to use it to your benefit. Because I think a lot of people think that because you don't know what cards you have and because you cannot use it, then they now tend to use that against you or to use that as a bargaining chip to blackmail you. And that's not fair on anyone. Life happens to everyone, and people make wrong decisions at points in their lives. We are not condoning, but it is what it is. Some of us, unfortunately, for example, went to have children in some relationships that we shouldn't have gotten into in the first place. But should people judge us for that? No. So I don't like to allow other people to judge people based on a certain point in their lives where they made mistakes also. Look, I always say that if not for the grace of God, there are certain things we all would have done that we didn't, because probably one, the opportunity didn't present itself, one, problems didn't present themselves in that way that we would have also done the same things that other people did. And so we sit here on our high horses and think life went, or we are perfect, or life went on a certain path, or we were just good kids and we didn't do that. No, problems did not present themselves like that to you. And that's why you didn't choose the route you chose.
True.
You know? So, unfortunately, that's what I would have done. I would call his bluff, one, and then I'll put it to him that this is what I would do. If you're ready for it, let's go. And then right after that discussion, I'll go and tell the guy.
Okay.
What's there to lose, really? We have already established the fact that when a guy loves you, there is no telling how far they would go for you.
Right.
Now, again, I will hammer on this. And for all girls to know that sometimes these things present themselves for you to just know how much someone loves you, how far they are willing to go for you. And as a matter of fact, you should know if someone loves you that much to want to enter into a marriage with them. If not, look, there are 1,000,001 men out there. Okay. Let's stop making it look like marriage is the price. Yes, is the end. Therefore, if I do not marry, or if I do not marry this particular guy, I'm done and dead.
But hold on, when the man was chasing the woman, was the woman a virgin? Okay.
Good point.
And as a matter of fact, we should tell that this man has not even stopped sleeping around with other hook.
For me, the only reason why I wasn't going to subscribe to the wife coming in is because, you see, if the man is the pervert as he truly is, the wife probably knows. I will not be threatened by leaving the husband.
Not to threaten.
No, hold on, let me finish. I'm not so to threaten him. The wife, I'm saying, will not be coerced into leaving him or causing chaos. If anything at all, because the wife is used to the man's behavior, probably normalized it, or is probably okay with it, because in the end, if the wife catches him cry, he gives him a gift or two. Maybe the wife will now extend his venom towards you as a one person who sleeps with married men all over the place. And that's what I'm saying that, look, you have to be very tactful in bringing the wife of the man in. That's why I'm saying that, look, there's nothing wrong with standing on your own dignity. The fact that you've admitted that, look, I've done wrong. But now I'm not the person you used to know. I'm a different breed. What you are saying, I won't subscribe to it, and I will not. If you want to tell your son, fine. You yourself, go and tell your fiancé that, look, listen, there was a time in my life. Now we are getting married. You've introduced me to your parents. I think we're serious now. So now I think it's right for me to tell you certain things. There was a time in university, I came from very humble beginnings. I did all the works, everything, but things got really tough. And I needed to do certain things I'm not proud of now for a period. Maybe say a year, 2 years, just to make sure that I got my way through school and all that. I look back, I'm not happy about it. I'm not proud about it. I'm now a new person. So this is an aspect of my life I want you to know about and keep at the back of your mind. Now you can even tell it to him and leave it at that without names. If the man comes to tell the son, oh, that's why he looked very familiar. I thought he was one of them, but I wasn't sure. That's just by the side. But I'm just saying that you can actually, look, I believe in letting the men know certain things that could, look, right now, I don't know what about me in my past you can tell my husband that he doesn't know already. He'll give you more filler than you think you have. And that's what makes me very comfortable talking about myself and my past. Because you can't hear what I tell about myself and go and tell him and you be in shock. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. So sometimes it's important, once you realize that the relationship is getting to a certain level,
You need to just
you don't need sometimes even I'm saying, I'm not saying full disclosure, but
You can
let
word it in
them
a way,
know, put it in a way that, see, at some point in time I was very bad, I was messed up, I was psychologically this, psychologically that, or I went through a phase where I had to depend on this, depend on that. So take them through the phases of your life. That way, even if they hear something, you can easily insert them into pockets of phases that you have told them. You understand? But bringing the wife into it only complicates issues, because now the wife will not be helping the son against you. Mothers and sons, you know how they are. So you think that you are doing the man. If the woman has not left the man now, the woman is settled in the pervertic ways of the husband. And I'm not saying that it's a do or die to be with the man. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is that even with the man's good intentions to be with you, it's easier to deal with an issue between two people than when it becomes 3, 4, 5 people. So I'd rather you go to your boyfriend, discuss the issue with him, deal with you and your boyfriend. That way, when your boyfriend even wants to forgive you, he's only forgiving one person. He doesn't have to confirm his forgiveness with his mother or confirm his forgiveness with his father. It's him and you. So I don't subscribe to bringing too many people in the discourse. It's best if you and that person deal with the discourse. That way, solution is also quick, faster, few people involved, it's quick. But once you threaten the man, the woman, let's say you actually go through with it, and you say it, the man will be angry. Hey, Kojo, Papa, I didn't know, yes, sir. I didn't know, sir. After they will go away, then they'll do all the skirmishes. But after 1 month, they'll still be going for family meetings together. Then you now look like now the husband, your boyfriend too, even though he loves you and he adores you,
when it comes
it becomes difficult. Like he has to now try and manage his mother
and his father
and you. That's what I'm saying. Look, listen, no credit about Kope. Go ahead, let your boyfriend, now that you know that he's moving to the next level, let him know the various phases of your life. You don't have to be so detailed, but let him know the various phases of your life so he doesn't get shocked.
Exactly. If you have a crazy boyfriend in the past, you just think about, or you have certain issues, just think about a crazy boyfriend. Every time someone pops up, hey, you know about that crazy boyfriend
I told you about?
It's a great way to get out of any relationship. But then, speaking of the men in this situation, where and we've heard quite a bit these days. We've had scandals about it recently, where the men
quite a bit, AJ.
the men are placed in positions of power. Are capable of helping the woman. Instead of helping the woman, asks for something in return.
Sex.
Likely. And sort of coerce you into either shutting up and enduring it or having to walk away from a better life. And it's gotten to a point where after they realize, and we can assume that in this situation, after she realized, you know what, just shut up and get it done. Then you see the benefits of just shutting up and getting it done. And you make a whole, I could say, career out of just shutting up and getting it done. And fast forward, it comes to bite you in the ass. But ordinarily, you didn't want that life. You were very, very happy to work for that life. But the opportunities to work were presented with caveats. And this has led her down this little rabbit hole that she now finds herself in. Now, it feels as if a lot of times men are able to escape this bubble. A lot of ladies in hookup business are not there because
they are enjoying it.
It's largely financial constraints. Financial constraints which can be solved because one person can be benevolent enough to say, you know what, I'll give you a scholarship. But it's never, I'll give you a scholarship. It's always, I'll give you a scholarship, but
in return, for something in return.
Shouldn't we be less judgmental of people in certain situations?
That's a tough question to answer. The reason why I say that is because over a long period of time, we have allowed and given men the opportunity to behave the way they do. Even you find mothers encouraging their daughters to actually go out there and sleep with men so that they'll be able to make ends meet. And it doesn't make it right, because every time they can, the men give the women literally all that they need in order to say no. and the situation makes it such that you really can't say no. But we must start from somewhere. Okay, we must start from somewhere. That must not be the only solution.
I like that. Thank you, ladies. Time flies when you're having fun, and it's time for us to wrap it up. Olivia, Rosie, Sicho, always a pleasure having you here, and we'll wrap it up with my thoughts. Alrighty, so wrapping it up with my thoughts to our very first lady who is dealing with a situation where she cannot conceive and is afraid to tell her man. I think honestly, like my sisters have rightly said, honesty is the way to go. Let him know. If he loves you, he will stay. If he doesn't, then you have your answer. And you will find someone capable of loving you, your issues, and everything else inclusive. To our second lady who is facing this dilemma where her boyfriend's father was someone she used to sleep with, I think you should confess. But in the best way possible to your fiancé. Just let him know that at some point in time, you had a relationship with a gentleman who happens to be his father. And let him know that it's a period in your life that once was and is no more happening now. Also, tell the man that you can't do it, because I really believe it may be a test. And if you agree to sleep with him again, that's it. Own up is some of the consequences of some of the things that may have gone on in your life, but I'm pretty sure that it's the best way forward to ensure that you may walk away with the man of your dreams and also happily live with his family, even his father. And on that note, thank you all for being tuned in. To my sisters, Rosie, Sicho, Olivia, thank you all for joining me. And of course, thank you for watching. And a very big thank you to our proud sponsors, to Kel Kids Toothpaste, to Onga Mama's Helping Hand, and finally to the Ghana AIDS Commission's Red Ribbon Campaign. A very big thank you for our delicious cocktails, Bruce of Brew Services. Find him on social media and the company Brew Services, and of course, hire them for the best cocktails for your events, conferences, or whichever events. Sometimes just do cocktails and sit in your house. It also works. A very big thank you to First Choice for my lovely hair, and a biggest thank you to you for being tuned in. It's been another exciting edition of Sister live on Citi TV and as well on 97.3 Citi FM. Once I come your way again, keep watching Citi TV and listening to Citi FM.